Hi, I'm Kelton, and you're watching the Cinema Makeup School Graduate Spotlight Series. I was born in North Carolina, but raised in Singapore. I moved out here to LA in 2014, which is when I graduated from the Master Makeup program at Cinema Makeup School. My first day here at Cinema Makeup School was really exciting for me just because it was my first step towards working in entertainment, for me at least, getting hands-on knowledge from a lot of the teachers here that work in entertainment. So they're all working on set, but when they're not, they're teaching at the school, and so you're really getting the best of the best here. My experience prior to coming to Cinema Makeup School was I had a diploma in fine art from LaSalle College of Arts in Singapore, but I felt that fine art wasn't really the direction I wanted to take for my career. So I did start making costumes on my own back in 2008, and that's how I kind of got into special effects makeup, and then decided that was where I wanted to pursue my career. I think when I was preparing to graduate, I didn't really know how it was going to be post CMS. I was just trying to get through my course and then figure out what to do from there, which I think was a mistake because I feel like networking is so important in the entertainment field, and you really have to put yourself out there. Like, you have to let people know who you are. But I feel like even as a fresh graduate, people need to see a body of work. So if you have only your portfolio from school, that's not sufficient to work in the entertainment industry. You need a lot more hands-on experience. Like, you need to have actual credits, like IMDb credit. You need to have a bigger portfolio of work that shows a wide range of skills. When networking at conventions or networking at social events, you really just have to be you. Don't be thirsty, because people can kind of tell when you're trying too hard to get them to hire you for work. And you don't want to come off as desperate. You want people to know that you're genuine and that you really have a passion for working in film. I think it was very sporadic the first 2 years post CMS. It was really slow and really hard to find work. Most of it was not paid, and most of it was just for credit. So a lot of the times I was either assisting people or I was doing small gigs that didn't really help me, like student films. So you're gonna do a lot of student films after school, which some are gonna be great and some not so fun. The first big gig that I got that had me really excited post CMS was I was asked to assist on a Rob Zombie music video. So for me, that was really cool. I wasn't paid, but it was fun just getting to assist a couple other CMS artists on applying several RBFX prosthetics on the music video and just seeing everything come together at the end, because that was my first big credit. After doing a couple free gigs, I think my first gig where I realized that, hey, I'm at a point where I can start charging a reasonable sum of money for my work, and I stopped taking free gigs or just for credit, was I worked at B2FX where they do a lot of TV stuff, like for Grimm, and I worked on the music video for Kanye West called Famous. So there was a lot of like silicone patching and resculpting on that project. I think that was my first gig where I went, hey, this is really big, and I can actually start having some good credit to my name. Even if you do have a mentor, I feel like in the end you can only really rely on yourself and getting the experience you need to work in the industry. Like, you get better as you go. Like, you learn how to write your own contracts, you learn how to price your work and know how much to charge, and don't undervalue yourself, because that happens very often in the industry where people try and undercut you. And advice to any students right now that are in CMS, I would say try to absorb everything you can from everyone around you. Don't be afraid to learn from someone else. Always be humble, I'd say, like, because you're always learning. Even professionals that have been working for years are still learning. So I think that's the most important thing, because you never know, you might learn some new techniques from someone. The day after graduation, a graduate should expect to be struggling for a little bit. You're gonna do a lot of work for free. You're gonna be doing a lot of things for credit. And I think once you're past maybe like the second year is when you start getting bigger projects to work on. People start recognizing your skills as an artist and believing that you can deliver the work. I definitely did have really low points in the first 2 years as a makeup artist after school, because I really felt like maybe I'm not good enough, that's why I'm not getting work, or I felt like maybe this isn't the right industry for me. And it was just really hard struggling, knowing that people, you weren't getting callbacks, you were just getting rejections all the time. But I think you just have to stick with it and keep going, because someday the door will just open and then you'll get your big break. I just kept doing, makeup demos for myself, trying to build my own portfolio. Even if I wasn't doing work for other people, I try to do my own makeup demos, just so that I could have stuff to show off to potential clients. When I was struggling, I was applying to websites online, like I was doing the job boards, I was doing like Mandy and all of them, but I really feel that the better paying gigs are through referrals. So when people refer you, that's really just about connections and your networking. Once people know that you exist and they see the type of work that you can deliver, that's when you start getting the callbacks. Trying to find work on job boards are okay when you're starting out, but they're not the ones that are going to pay the bills. Post CMS, my most amazing gig experience was being the lead effects designer for a feature by John Knautz called The Cleaning Lady. So I made over 100 prosthetics for that film, and I did concept design as well as the makeup for the lead character in that film. So it was a lot of really cool death scenes I got to work on, and like the main character is a burn victim, so that was really fun. It's about a month and a half of shooting, yeah. This brain was a test piece I made for John Knautz's The Cleaning Lady. So in one scene, a character gets her head smashed in by a shovel, and then I had to make bits of brain that was supposed to be coming out of her head. So I made a second piece which was used in the film, which I just like tore up. It was used in more deadener. So this one is the first test, which only has a 1-part deadener, so it's kind of still not soft enough. And then it was painted with Psycho paints from Smooth On, and then yarn for all like the veining detail and stuff. So one of the characters has her tongue cut out, so I had to make these silicone sleeves that fit over them, so it will look like her tongue was severed and sewn back together. Seeing my work first time on screen on John Knautz's The Cleaning Lady was definitely a very humbling experience. It was really cool to see my work such a prominent part of a feature film, because like almost every scene the main character was in, and then also like seeing like the gore and the death scenes and watching the audience cringe, and you're like, oh, that's my work, that's really awesome. BlizzCon was November 3rd and 4th this year, and I started working on a project for BlizzCon on my own about 13 months prior. I went to research temples in Singapore when I was visiting on a family trip, and also did a bunch of research into Indian culture and history, and that's kind of where it inspired this project. So this is based on one of the characters from the game called Symetra, who's an Indian character, and I was doing a male version of her character, and I wanted to incorporate Hindu mythology as well as the aesthetic of the game into it. So I did a lot of effects work, so made like life casts of myself out of silicone, and there's like animatronics, the wheel rotates, and then there's several heads on the makeup, and a bunch of fabrication and special effects. So I basically combined all my skills as an effects artist and as a costumer, and I won the overall champion prize at BlizzCon. I had a friend who helped work on all the animatronics for the costume, so like I had a big Dharma wheel in the back that rotates, and there were smaller wheels that rotate in the opposite direction. There was also a gun that rotates and had an eyeball that looks around when it's turned on. Yeah, so it was pretty ambitious, I would say. I have competed in BlizzCon a couple times, I think 3 times now. The first time I did BlizzCon, I placed 4th in the contest. I did a male version of Kerrigan from StarCraft, so I had the full latex polyfoam suit with wings that opened out. So that was fun, but getting the overall champion this year was definitely new for me. It was exhilarating, I would say, just because I worked so hard on this project, so I felt like everything really paid off. Yeah, and it was nice that people really appreciated all the research and the concept work and design that went into the costume, which I feel as an artist is so important. Like, your research is the foundation for everything that you do. Everyone really brings their A game to that convention, so if you're planning a costume for that convention or even planning on doing the contest, give yourself ample time. Don't rush like the last couple weeks before the con. Any BlizzCon build that I've done, or most of my friends who've competed, they take at least 6 months or a year to complete their costume, just because there's so much involved. I pull a lot of inspiration from books and video games. Like, my favorite authors are H.P. Lovecraft and Clive Barker, And my favorite video game would be Silent Hill 2, which has it's very reminiscent of like Jacob's Ladder, Stephen King novels. So I think that aesthetic is very it permeates my work. So a lot of it is very like beautiful and grotesque. A lot of my work is within the video game industry. I've done a lot of work for Blizzard. I've done a lot of work for E3. Recently, I did a couple of silicone masks for a new Lovecraftian game coming out called The Sinking City. And so I do think that the gaming world is moving toward incorporating a lot of makeup effects as promotional materials, or even in film. Like a lot of games are being adapted into films, so there's a lot of work in that industry. Do makeup demos so that if you're going to conventions like IMATS, for example, you're going to Monsterpalooza, do conventions so that people can see your makeup, hand out name cards, have a good solid website that people can access if they see you on social media. Posting on social media definitely helps. It's a good way for the general public to see your work. And also, but I think having a good solid website and portfolio with a range of skills is very important if you want people to believe that you have what it takes to be a makeup artist. The right mind frame for a fresh graduate is to always be humble, to always be excited to work. It should never look like you don't want to be there, because you want people to hire you again. You want people to know that you're eager to do the work. So I think that's very important, to go in and also learn as much as you can, like learn all the terms they use. For when I know when I was fresh out of school, I didn't know half the terms they use for like the dollies and everything. So it's a lot of learning on the job as you go. My end goal would be to be able to combine both things that I enjoy, like makeup and video games. But eventually it would be nice to have my own shop and do a lot more promotional work and film work. I have a website which you can follow me on. It's keltonfx.com. It's KELTONFX.com, which is also all my social media, which is Kelton Effects. And yeah, please check it out. I'm Kelton Ching, and you were watching the Graduate Spotlight series. I hope I gave you some valuable insight into working in the industry. Please follow Cinema Makeup School on all their social media channels.